Hello and welcome back to Turn Towards Love. I'm Rachael Iris. So the next Niyama, the third one, is Tapas. Tapas is often translated as heat, the inner heat created through focus, discipline, and sincere practice. In yoga, this heat is not about punishment or forcing ourselves, but about the transformation that naturally happens when we commit to growth with the awareness and purpose. Tapas purifies us on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, helping to remove the blocks, habits, and distractions that keep us disconnected from ourselves. It's a sincere effort to keep showing up, even when things feel difficult. And through that consistency, we begin to strengthen the mind, steady the senses, and reconnect with a deeper clarity within. Tapas is not forcing ourselves harshly. It's a sincere willingness to grow. So what we know now is that the heat, as tapas is referred to, is the inner heat, and that inner heat comes through and from the practice. And in the practice, when you have that sincere focus and discipline, that's when it arrives. So it's not just like forcing ourselves to do a practice or to do and get into a state, but it's actually the opposite. It's about the natural letting go that happens when we commit to growth. We commit to ourselves, to expanding our awareness, and therefore bringing meaning and purpose into our lives via the practice. Practices that gently clear what feels artificial. Anything that's misaligned, anything that doesn't feel okay within us. We don't feel absolutely intuitively or excited or happy. There's something a bit off, or we're not being our unique being, then practices will clear that artificialness, that artificial nature about these things that we kind of become in order to feel more worthy in some ways. So pranayama is regarded as the best tapas. And we will talk about pranayama in another video. But we see those practices sincerely done that bring a control or discipline over the senses, regaining and channeling prana, your life force energy. So we can channel and regain that life force energy within us through breath work, through kriyas, through pranayama, so with doing those practices becomes that control and the discipline we need. So literally in such practice, one feels heat. So when doing these practices, you feel heat within the system. So it's not just physical heat, but the inner heat that's created through focus, through discipline, and through consistent practice. As the energy builds up in the body, then we're showing up for something with sincerity. It's the energy that builds within the body when we're showing up for something with sincerity, with integrity. So it's the heat that purifies the system. And it's a beautiful way to do it and to understand it and to integrate it is through the practice sadhana. Because through the practice, through the effort that you make and the commitment to that, we begin to clear what feels heavy and blocked or out of alignment. And it's not by forcing it, but by staying with something consistently with intention. And for some reason, I don't know why do you think? Why do you think that we can go and stray off path? Even when something feels good, like if we're doing exercise or if we're doing yoga, if we're doing a meditation, if we're doing any kind of spiritual practice, we know how amazing it feels. But then we can get up the next day and we can think, I just don't want to do that right now, or I've not got the time, or we've got those excuses that can come, and it can sway us, and then we go so far away from it again. But when we actually consistently show up for ourselves, this heat is generated, and we bring this effort into our lives and this consistency, and it's not, and that feels amazing to give that to ourselves, and we just automatically start to feel embodied with this life force energy, with this with this natural way of showing up and being in the world. And it starts to affect all different parts of our lives. So it isn't just the effort for the sake of doing it, it's the effort that comes from the sincerity. So when you're sincerely doing it for a connection, for a sacred connection to yourself and everything around you, from an understanding where we're practicing from. Are we practicing from a heart space, or are we're not just doing the moves, we're not just doing the practices, we are coming from that place of sincerity within each moment of that practice, within each breath, and choosing to return to that breath even when it feels challenging, to return into those practices even when it's challenging, even when your mind is screaming no with excuses, it's going to it. I know it's been a hard journey for me. It's like a quick thinking about what happened with me is I felt like, a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and previous to that, my practices and my fitness and my well-being was like the most important thing. And I couldn't go a day without doing it. I was so consistent and it felt so good, and I was alive and I felt the fire and the passion. And then there's events that happened in my life, what kind of annihilated me, kind of threw me off track. And I went and I completely changed person, having my back spondylolisthesis just wiped me out, and the pain and the difficulty that comes with that, and the fatigue, the constant fatigue, and the stress, the physical stress and the mental stress, and then trying to care and help others around me in my responsibilities and my work was a lot to keep up. And then I had my dog was super sick, and it was so challenging in every state, emotionally, physically, mentally. And because I was nourishing so much of others and not enough of myself, I was so unclear in my mind that every moment I just wanted to just, I was too exhausted. I felt too exhausted to do anything. And that's when we need to start to implement these things slowly. If you're consistent doing 5 minutes for a week or a month, and then building that up, you're still showing up and being consistent. It's what can you be consistent for? You don't have to go, I'm going to do an hour every single day. It's like if you feel like you can't manage that, ask yourself, what can you manage right now? Really, what can you manage? And then do that with full integrity and sincerity. And then you'll start to feel this sense of prana come back. Your life force energy and the heat within the body will start to come back. And that will allow you to feel less exhausted and more time to bring to the things that you love, and the love within yourself grows because you are nurturing, you are watering yourself. So that's what I do. It's building up, not just going full throttle, because that's, might not be able to keep that up. So it's bringing discipline to those senses, gently guiding where our energy flows, not suppressing anything within you, not pushing anything down, but refining it, and over time this begins to create a sense of steadiness, of clarity, and our inner strength. So in yoga practices like breathwork, pranayama, are often seen as powerful forms of tapas because they work directly with our energy, our prana, helping to regulate, channel, and awaken it. You know, like they say with the kundalini, you know, it rises up through the body, but you need that. You activate that heat, that prana, to stimulate it, to bring it up. And then, you know, we can get to those higher states of being once we're in that full channel flow. And we can explore that more deeply in another video. But you can think of it as like a tapas as like a small flame right now. If it's tended to regularly with care and consistency, look, here's a good example. Here's a flame. So we're going to tend to the small flame. I made this candle. I made candles. If you're interested, let me know. But yes, so this is a flame. And when we consistently take care of it, it begins to grow. You know, we add more to it. If we add wood to a fire, you know, it begins to grow, and that warmth can transform things. You know, we just got to keep adding that fuel, you know. But if you neglect, if you neglect that and you don't add any more wood, or the wax wasn't there, you know, if it's neglected in those ways, then it fades. So the fire gets put out, and then our body starts to become damp and dark and exhausted and heavy. Tapas gives us that willingness to keep that flame alive. So whenever you're exhausted, just think tapas, flame, fire, passion, sincerity, you know, that initiation, the start, they gotta keep it alive. And how are we going to feed it to keep it alive? How are we going to keep giving it fuel? And what's the best way for you to give that fuel? What's the best practices for you? And like we say, pranayama brings and allows that to keep it burning, keep it going. And you've got to have that willingness to keep going, that drive. Because tapas is that quiet fire that transforms us from within. So I will see you on the next video, and may you always turn towards love.